Hey there, my name is Casey. I'm a VTuber and Twitch streamer, aka I'm allergic to the outside world. When Marvel Rivals was officially released, I was immediately attracted to Black Widow, as I admittedly come from Overwatch as a Widowmaker main. Back in the cage, demon! Anywho, I've noticed a lot of talk about Black Widow, from things like balance changes to full-blown reworks of her, with a lot of players pointing to her abysmal win rate as justification. But I've also noticed that most of you, filthy casuals, don't actually know how to play her. So, before you go crying for any changes, this unemployed sewer rat is going to give you a basic bootcamp from what I've learned, one-tricking this character all the way from bronze to eternity. The very first thing I learned about Black Widow is that pretty much everyone is taking close-range engagements wrong. Most people who try Black Widow don't actually understand how to deal with close quarters fights, and as such, they just try and run away. The issue with that is that Widow's sprint is nowhere near fast enough to outpace most flankers, and it leaves you pretty much completely vulnerable to all manners of attack while running. It should only really be used to reposition or get away from ultimates. Oh, and don't get me started on her kung fu sticks. Put the fucking dildos away, man! If there is any character trying to get close enough that you can hit them with your sticks, they are going to out DPS you. The character isn't bad because you decided to fight a 7,000-pound green ape with a couple of sticks you found on the ground. I, personally, even went so far as to completely remove my bindings to use them. Because, spoiler alert, you can kind of swap to them a lot by accident, and it really fucks up the flow. Now, you may be asking, Casey, so how are you supposed to deal with close-range encounters? The Second Amendment. Second Amendment. Black Widow's unscoped sniper rounds do significant critical hit damage, up to about 18 meters or so, and within 10 meters, she can still do a max of 240 damage. So, instead of running, you should be playing her more like Punisher. Treat her sniper rifle as a 240 damage slug shotgun, and spread that pesky Black Panther's grey matter all over the wall. And the most important thing to remember with Widow is that you can't be helpless. You need to be able to handle most situations without support assistance. And once you can do that, you just have to play your cards right. And one of the most important of those cards is Black Widow's kick.
Everybody was kung fu fighting.
See, just like how I advised you on how to use Black Widow's gun in close range quarters, I am now going to explain the importance of using Black Widow's kick correctly. It's basically the best thing that you have in your kit, because when used correctly, you don't explode every 5 seconds. You explode every 10. Listen, it's at least something, okay? But in all seriousness, it is the difference between life and death. When activated, you do a sweeping kick that can hit multiple targets, after which you get a secondary grapple kick. That grapple kick is what matters. When used, it locks onto the closest player to you and pulls them to you, so that your character can kick them up, and this delivers a very, very short stun. Only roughly, I think, a second, but that is actually enough for you to one-shot an aggressive diver that didn't manage their engagement properly. Now, this does have a slight stipulation, and that is that some characters just straight up block their head hitbox when stunned. I have no idea why, don't know how, but some characters like Panther and Psylocke cover one half of their face with their hands, making it really hard to shoot them sometimes, depending on the angle, obviously. And even more evilly, Magic puts her entire arm in front of her face like she's just seen mine and is now horrified. Luckily, you can get around this by memorizing which characters it is that do this, and waiting for the frame that they drop their hands and then fire, because there is a minor discrepancy between when the animation ends and when the player gains control over their character again. I know that sounds really complicated and hard, but trust me, it's actually a lot easier. Apart from Magic, again, who not only blocks her face, but also stance changes mid-fall, meaning you have to aim towards her throat or her biddies to actually land a headshot. I'm not exactly complaining, though. God! Why is she so hot?
Let's see how well you fare against my Biden blast. Yeah.
The next biggest thing I learned about Black Widow is that your ultimate is most useful when going for solo targets. Now, I know it's no secret that Black Widow's ultimate is dog water. I mean, it's just bad. Hell, you can probably do more damage if you throw a roll of toilet paper at a target. But instead of just accepting that it's bad, you should be looking to work around it. And you do that by solo ulting every support that you see. Now, before every support in the community sends a death threat to my Twitter inbox, allow me to explain. Black Widow's ultimate deals 170 damage, with her primary fire dealing 120 to the body. So, it's much more efficient to land a hit and then immediately fire the ultimate to try and secure the elim. This will either take a strategist completely out of the fight, or force them to use their ult to stay alive, which can then allow your team to have an advantage with more powerful ultimates than their team has. Unless you're in bronze. Now, there is an exception to this rule, and that's if you have the Hawkeye team up. The reason this changes things is because it layers damage on each of the after images from the explosion hits, so instead of hitting for 170, it can do upwards of 400. This turns her ult from a bargain bin firecracker to the bomb that destroyed Nagasaki. Now, you may be saying, well, Casey, that sounds really, really good. Like, why don't you do that all the time? And it is literally just for the reason that unless you queue with them, you cannot guarantee getting a Hawkeye. And without the Hawkeye, you basically can't one-shot through any ults. Like, at all. And to queue with a Hawkeye, you'd obviously need friends, which is something none of you watching this video have. That's right. I'm looking at you. And judging.
Run, Forrest, run! Run, Forrest!
The fourth most important lesson I learned about Black Widow is that a good Black Widow will always be looking to reposition, moving up the field with their team, taking flanks, taking off angles, and generally just being like an annoying mosquito chipping away at the enemy health. Unless you have a damage boost. Now, the reason I say this is because I have seen too many of you fuckers act like we're playing CSGO. Sitting there and holding an angle for multiple minutes while your poor supports get eaten alive by the enemy Psylocke. This isn't Overwatch. This isn't Widowmaker. Remember that. You cannot control angles the same way because you don't have a default one-shot. Instead, you need to abuse as much angles and flanks as you can because people won't just stand main and wait for you to blast them in the head. And all that is while even talking about dive characters. You need to be hypermobile and you need to play with your team. You can play back sometimes and forward other times, but you can't just find a position and stay there. Because if you do, they will learn the pattern of where you're shooting from. And trust me, you don't want them to do that. While they aren't all the best characters in the game, their high mobility and burst damage makes them easily the best characters against you in the game. Outside of Hela, Hawkeye, and pretty much every other character on the roster. But that's not important. The thing is, you have tools to defend yourself from them. But at the end of the day, if you get jumped by 2 or even 3 people at the same time, you are going to die. Unless a support pops in ult. And then you are wasting team resources to keep yourself alive. You have to try and avoid them by making it harder for them to all gang up on you at once. And there you have it. Those are all the things that I learned while one-tricking Black Widow to eternity. If you'd like me to do a deep dive on what changes I'd recommend to make her more viable for the rest of the community, or a more in-depth guide on how to play her, let me know in the comments. And thank you for taking the time to watch my first proper video. It was very nerve-wracking to make, so I really hope you enjoyed it. If you want to catch me in my antics more often, you can swing by my Twitch too. It's the same username as it is here. Now, may you all go off into the world and be the 3 and 15 Black Widow mains you were always meant to be. Peace.